Please welcome Senator Bice.
Even with heels, I'm not quite as tall as Patrick. First of all, I feel real official with all of the flags behind me, so I'll thank, Kristinger over there for the decor. I want to give you all a little bit of background about Senate Bill 383 and sort of how this whole conversation over the last year transpired, and then where we are now, where we hope to be. I've been asked many times over from reporters and others why I filed Senate Bill 383, and it's a really easy answer. I like cold beer. I used to be a food reviewer for the Gazette, and I became friends with a lot of the local chefs in town and restaurateurs, and I befriended a lot of the craft brewery guys that were up and coming at the time. J.D. Merriweather with Coop, the Marshall folks. I became really interested in what was going on in the craft brew industry. When I filed Senate Bill 383, the original, as Patrick mentioned, chill bill was just to allow for liquor stores to be able to refrigerate their product. Seemed like a really reasonable, easy request to me at the time. Little did the freshman legislator know what I was in for. But it's turned into, I think, a really big conversation that needs to be had. Part of the thing that's, I think, hasn't been told as far as the story is concerned is why the laws are the way they are now. And what you'll find interesting, or at least I did, is that most of our alcohol laws that were passed were written into our Constitution in 1959. After the repeal of Prohibition, we waited that long to really put these into effect. And they're in the Constitution, which means it's virtually impossible to change them without a vote of the people, of course. And to get that is a process. So after the chill bill was filed, people were really excited. I heard a lot from craft brew industry. I heard a lot from citizens around the state. And I also heard from this other group that said, please, can you have wine in grocery stores? And that group was a bunch of moms that want to go buy diapers and goldfish crackers and a bottle of wine. And being a mother of 2 daughters, I understand. So I started researching how we could make these changes and what it would affect. And the changes are truly monumental. They affect everything from not only the retail liquor stores and wholesalers and craft breweries, but they affect things like the tax commission. Because what I didn't realize at the time is there are 2 different tax structures for the beers that are sold in a liquor store and the beers that are sold at the convenience store in groceries. And as a side note, you all will be interested to know that the beer that's sold at convenience and grocery stores is called non-intoxicating beer. How many of you have been to college? Raise your hand. Yeah. I would beg to guess that that's probably not an accurate assessment of 3-2 beer exactly. But the reality is we need 2 things in the state to really, I think, move us to the 21st century. And that is a single full-strength system that allows for craft brew, like the guys here tonight, to be able to sell their product in a grocery and convenience store, cold. And we need to be able to have wine in grocery and convenience stores. And that's what we're trying to look to do with Senate Bill 383. It won't be easy. There will be a lot of pushback. There will be a lot of folks in surrounding communities that are not really in favor of this type of legislation for a variety of reasons. But I feel like that for us to move forward and do the things that make our state great, we need to have this discussion, and it needs to happen now. We're missing out on great opportunities like beer and wine festivals, food and wine festivals that you see across the country. We're missing out on breweries that don't want to come to the state because of the complicated laws or the fact that we can't refrigerate product. Many of you may or may not know that some of the beers that are sold need to be refrigerated for quality and freshness purposes, particularly the hoppier types of beers. And so we're missing out on some of those. So this legislation will really help to grow our offerings and bring us in line with surrounding states. I would love to take some questions. It's a complicated, I think, a topic, But if you all have some specific questions about the industry or about sort of what the legislation may be, I'd love to take some. Yes, sir.
Where is this pushback coming from? Is it just religious fundamentalists, or I'd like to be prepared to make arguments.
So the question was, where is the pushback coming from? Really, the pushback is a variety of entities, but keep in mind, change is difficult for everyone. It's an unknown, and especially when you've grown your business on a platform that's been in place for over 50 years, when you want to make these changes, it becomes very problematic to them. They feel like that, how are we going to survive? How can we make this work? You know, the retail package stores, the liquor stores have some concerns about the number of access points. If grocery and convenience stores have the ability to sell wine, how's that going to impact them? One of the benefits I will say is to them is we're looking at a couple of things that would help them. How many of you have gone to a liquor store and wished you could have bought a lime to go with that beer? Yes. We are looking at allowing sales of ancillary items in liquor stores, which I think is really important. They need to be able to sell a corkscrew, a wine glass, you know, mixers, soda, seltzer, a lime, whatever it is that they feel, you know, will enhance their business. They'll be able to refrigerate. I think that's a really big thing for everyone. We want to be able to, you know, buy a cold beer and take it home and drink it. And there are a lot of other things that are sort of going into that. So they're one aspect. Of course, there's also people that are on the substance abuse side of the coin that feel like that allowing for more access points could be detrimental to those that have battled substance abuse issues, and we have to keep those things in mind. So it's not one entity. I think there's a little bit of a concern from a lot of sources, and we have to do the best we can to address that. I will say that I've made it clear to everyone, and I've spent the last 8 months meeting with every entity that I can possibly, you know, think of that would have an interest in this topic, and I've been very clear with them. I want to help you and I want to give you some wins, but I can't give you everything you're asking for. So you've got to come to the table, you've got to compromise and negotiate and make this a reality. So, great question.